Welcome to In Progress, a podcast to help you grow and learn how to become a better version of yourself. Now, here's your host, Michael Cirigliano.
Welcome to In Progress. I'm your host, Michael Cirigliano, with special guest today and voice of Vets Veto War, Justin Luzius. These videos that she was forced into, these were released onto regular pornographic websites, and people with rape fantasies, rape fetishes, or whatever that are watching these videos, and even now can be watching videos that have legitimate rape in them without knowing.
So to answer your question in short, yes, perhaps some of these videos look like actual rapes, but past a certain point, I mean, do you think that someone like this is going to fight every day? Past a certain point, they're going to say, you know, I'm going to have to make this look consensual. Maybe my captors are going to beat me if I don't, please the customers.
Right.
Because she essentially worked as a forced labor prostitute, a slave, a sex slave for years. So you might be watching something that looks consensual, but it's not. It's a human trafficked victim.
That's crazy. See, I had no idea. I always thought that videos of this nature were only found and obtained through the dark web or through like networks of people that are doing it and are into it. I didn't think that you can actually go onto a large name pornographic website and find these videos as well. So people that are consuming pornography can potentially be consuming actual videos of rape and child rape and sex trafficking and all of that without even knowing that's actually the case.
Yeah, and like I said, if they removed 10 million unequivocally,
they know exactly where they are.
They know exactly where they are. If they remove 10 million, there's at least 10 million and one.
Right.
If you look at any sort of statistic, I don't know, you're looking at car robberies, you're looking at murders, everything like that. It's always going to be underreported, right? So
right.
Everything is going to always be underreported. So if you consume pornography, I want to unequivocally say to you, men, that chances are extremely high that that you have consumed child pornography, child sex abuse material, CSAM, you've consumed revenge porn, you've consumed rape porn without knowing it. You are party to this. You are part of this. And if nothing else, you say, you know what? I'm still going to watch porn. Well, now you know. Now you know what you're a part of. This is what you're doing. This is what your time and your energy is devoted to, is sex crimes. You are a party to sex criminals. You are a sex criminal, whether you know it or not. And the only thing that you can do is turn your back on it and stop. Not to mention the selfish factor, right? Even if you don't care about these individuals for some god-awful reason, you're a terrible excuse for a man, you just don't care about these women. Fine. Think about yourself and your brain and how you're destroying it with this compulsive use of pornography and how you're wasting your years where you should be out there reproducing and actually chasing a mate and really just letting women in society and yourself down at the very minimum. And at the worst, you really need to know that you are party to sex crime.
That's absolutely insane. That blows me away that this is actually so allowed. Like I was under the impression that the pornography industry operated in the same manner that any other big business would, where there are rules to it, and if those rules are broken, the party involved gets reprimanded somehow, whether the video gets taken down or whatever. And it sounds like that's nowhere near the case.
There's a lawsuit pending, but this is still the beginning.
But this is only one of how many?
Yeah. These videos are uploaded and re-uploaded and deleted and re-uploaded all the time. These women, that every single one of them that we'll discuss today, will see their videos still up even after their lawsuit. The videos will still be put up. So the only thing that we can do as men is really just advocate for the complete just abolition and just destruction of the porno industry in itself. It should be destroyed and cast aside. If you want to masturbate, sure, but you can do it, I don't know, use your imagination, or just get out there and actually find a mate. Stop wasting your time masturbating and get off your ass and do something productive for society. And definitely don't be a party to sex crimes.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, even statistically speaking, masturbation, there are no long-term benefits to masturbation. At least I know personally on the male level, there are no long-term benefits to masturbation. It's just to fulfill a need, a desire in the moment. So I don't see, along with all of this information that you're providing now, masturbation in and of itself isn't necessarily something that men should be taking part of anyway.
No, absolutely not. They shouldn't be. That sexual energy should be devoted to being, out there engaging in the thrill of the chase. And if you say, "Well, I'm too ugly," or "I'm too poor," or something like that, that's nonsense. You can get out there, you can get women, enhance your social skills. Talking to women, just like any other thing, is something that might take practice. I'm not saying get out there and start womanizing. Absolutely not. And any men who partake in womanizing are bad too. That's a terrible thing. But if you're jerking off to women like Alicia that are mentally disabled, or women like Shawandra that are sex trafficking victims, and you're saying, "Well, I don't look for it," well, it's going to be pushed your way. Often these things are put on the top. When these people are coerced, you can make them do whatever's popular, right? So
Right.
obviously all this information is sold. So this information is obviously cataloged. They know what people are looking for. They know what the consumer is looking for. They can force these women to say, "Hey, I want you to do this position, this sexual act, because this is what sells." And what are they going to say? No, they're
Right.
not, because they're being coerced and exploited.
Absolutely. Now, do you think, this is completely opinionated, there's no, I'm assuming there's no fact that you can possibly pull out for this, but just your opinion. I've noticed that the rape and domination kink is becoming more of a mainstream popular thing in society. Do you think that pornography plays a part in that?
I'd say so. Pornography removes the intimacy of sex, which the whole point of sex was to have an intimate emotional connection and ultimately to reproduce. So to take that away really makes it all of a sudden a recreational activity instead of something that's required of basic human beings. It becomes an activity. It's something to do. It's something interesting. I rode all the little kid rides at the amusement park. Now I need to go onto the bigger roller coasters to get more thrills.
Right.
I rode the motorcycle and that was exciting, but now I need to skydive to get that adrenaline dump.
Right.
And
just moving up and up and up through the
Yeah.
ranks of fulfilling that desire you have, whatever it may be.
Absolutely. It's a compulsive activity to view pornography. So you're really giving up something of yourself, because nothing in this world is free. And
Right.
least of all, something that's sold to you as free. It's not free. You're giving up something of yourself.
Absolutely. Now, I want to get into the underage, the 14-year-old video that you have. I want to get into that just because I'm learning a lot right now. As a man, 27-year-old man, I can say I've consumed my fair share of pornography. And
Yes.
this is wildly eye-opening because it almost puts a bad taste in your mouth to the entire industry in and of itself.
Absolutely. I can't come to you and say I'm some sort of saint or anything like that. I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm someone who's engaged in pornography. I've womanized, and it really it's tough to give up something that's compulsive. It's a hack. I could go out there, I could talk to women, I could engage in the chase, I could engage in, having to face that fear of rejection, which everyone has some sort of fear of rejection.
Yeah, absolutely.
Women saying, I'm not interested in you or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to man up.
Yeah,
we need to man up. We need to look out for those who can't look out for themselves. And the first thing we need to do is we need to look out for ourselves. Because if we can't handle ourselves or help ourselves and love ourselves, we can't we can't help and love others.
No, 100%. Absolutely.
So child sex abuse material, or CSAM, is absolutely rampant on Pornhub. In fact, entire genres are dedicated to this. Even women that are, 18 or something like that. When we look at Alicia, when we look at Alicia, we don't think, wow, she really looks, fully developed and grown. It's obvious why she was chosen for this. She looks young. And this is, again, part of an elite strategy to really demoralize and push that final frontier of pedophilia, and really just create a society of just weak people that can't fight back, that will, if you accept pedophilia, if you accept all sorts of sexual degeneracy, you'll pretty much accept anything, Oh, my taxes have doubled in the last few years. My wages have stagnated. I'll accept anything. I'll take anything you give to me, because I'm essentially worthless. I've given up my self-worth and my self-esteem for a quick, orgasm.
Right.
So yeah, Serena is someone that undressed on camera for a boy that she liked at 14. And she says right afterwards that she felt like she made a mistake right after the video was made. And we can see the absolute detrimental effects of what happened to her when her videos were released online, either for profit or in enjoyment. We're not sure which, but either way, her video, she finds it again and again and again online. So let's show some of her stuff. So this is Serena. She appeared on Dr. Oz to talk about what happened to her. She filmed herself at 14 for a crush, and that person completely abused her trust and released the videos. And yeah, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. But here's her story. We got a few sections of it.
And then when everybody would go, to work during the day, I would find a tree with a little bit of shade and sleep behind it. But I'm doing better.
Yeah, but you're still going through a lot.
So what she's describing there is when she started skipping school. All the boys and some of the girls in her class would hit her up and say, hey, may as well show us more videos. You're already out there. Let's see some more. Or they just started mocking her or pointing at her or making fun of her. And she just started skipping school entirely. And basically living on the streets during the school day because she couldn't face the shame and humiliation of her video being out there. She tried many things. She tried pretending to be her own mother and contacting Pornhub and saying this is child pornography. No answers. Do I need to get a lawyer involved? She finally got an answer. They'd remove one video, but like a Hydra, anytime one video would pop up, there'd be 10 more. So, but anyway, here's her story and here's some of her lawyer.
Let me speak to one of the adults you finally have in your life that might help. Serena's attorney, Michael Bowie, is with us. Michael, how are you trying to hold Pornhub accountable for what happened to Serena?
Doc, thanks for covering this and raising awareness. It's really important. The first thing we're doing is attempting to hold Pornhub accountable and people in the industry accountable for attempting to basically discredit a lot of these accounts and minimize the problem. The fact is, this stuff happens, and it happens often. There are many accounts of that, from newspaper articles, from the New York Times, from Nick Kristof, from victims, from government organizations. The second thing that we're doing is also just debunking the other argument they put out there that this is somehow directed at consensual adult entertainment or porn. It is not. This is about child pornography and rape. There are instances of not just child pornography, but also adults who are raped and it's videotaped and it's put up there. Women who are trafficked and it's put up there. And it's not just Pornhub. Pornhub is the flagship in the industry, but it's ubiquitous in that industry. And we will be bringing claims in short order against those responsible in this industry, including Pornhub. And so we're going to start to hold these companies accountable for their obligations until they start holding themselves accountable like they're supposed to.
So Pornhub removed over 10 million videos, that's about 80% of its content, from its site in response to these allegations. They've also prevented any new material from being uploaded to the site unless it comes from a verified user. That's the terminology. Do you think that's enough, Michael?
No, it's necessary, but it's not sufficient. But what it does do is it shows you how big the problem was. 10 million videos that they had no idea whether they were consensual or not consensual. And so at the end of the day, there is no way to deal with this issue effectively unless you are actually going to have some compliance function that ensures that the people who are posting material are posting material that is consensual. There's just no other way about it.
So, Serena, what message do you have for anyone who's listening to your story?
I would just say that don't wait as long as I did, because I'm about to be 20 now, and I just barely told my mom and my family what was happening. So I would just say don't wait as long as I did. There's people out there that will help you. There's people out there that will support you. You know, just changing schools won't really help it if it's on the internet. So you really, if you're underage and this has happened to you, speak to an adult that you trust and have them, you know, give you more options, because doing it as on your own as a minor doesn't really do much.
So 80% of Pornhub's content at that time was possibly underage or non-consensual.
They had no idea. So
80%.
And again, if there's a problem and you fix a problem, right? If you clean your floor, you know, you put soap on there and it says that the cleaner, the Lysol, kills 99.9% of germs.
Mm-hmm.
There's still 0.1% left. So it's probably even worse. Probably. An educated guess would say at least they missed at least one video. And if they knew where these videos were overnight, almost, they knowingly engaged in this business practice. And in fact, there's documents that have been released. For time's sake, I don't have them. But intra-company documents that have been released by whistleblowers that show that they knowingly ignored reports unless some sort of litigation was threatened, some serious threat of litigation was performed. So yeah, Pornhub, X videos, any website that you're on was fully aware of this issue and knowingly participates in sex crime, and therefore you as men are party to that, and you have a responsibility to fix society as the de facto leaders of society. You have a responsibility to put a stop to this and not at the very least not participate.
Right, absolutely. I mean, with that being such a huge number that Pornhub had that was questionable, that, like you said, that's across all platforms. Pornhub is not the only website going through this. That's just the flagship to the porn industry.
That's right.
That's
100% right.
It's not, the fact that this information isn't even spoken about. Like, sex trafficking is like, it's a conversation that's not had regularly by many people at all. It's a huge problem, but it's not a conversation that's had very much. And the fact that unknowingly, probably millions of Americans are partaking in viewing child pornography and sex trafficking is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and The crazy part about this is a lot of people also don't investigate who really the motivations of why someone would be involved in the production of porn. Not from the acting standpoint, but from the producing standpoint, who these people are. We remember Alicia's story, the woman that we looked at, the young woman, frankly, the child with the learning disability. She's a frequent employee of blacked.com, which is run by this gentleman here, Greg Lansky. So if you think blacked.com, black, which is specifically black women or black men with white women, and the younger looking, the better, you would not imagine that this would be the person that you would think would be behind it. You wouldn't imagine that it would be this white appearing male. And I don't really want to dive too deep into this, but I think it's important to tell you the truth. We're primarily talking to men, and I think that as men, we're supposed to have open minds. Greg Lansky, the creator of Blacked, is from Paris, and as you can see right here, I've highlighted something about his heritage. And yeah.
Okay. So share your screen real fast.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, my apologies.
No, you're good. I didn't know if you were going to read off of it or if you were just going, or if you just didn't share your screen, but that's
no problem. So to reiterate, right, this is the founder I have of Black.
Yeah.
Where Alicia was employed. This doesn't have too much to do with Serena's case, but this is the type of people that are involved in that. Now you have to think, I'm sure, interracial porn has, something to do with the business.
Yeah.
But if you're thinking of a website, of a business model that specifically is black men with white women, you wouldn't think that it would be run by this male right here on the screen, Greg Lansky. You think probably be a black man, wouldn't it?
Right.
But what you're going to see of what I've highlighted about his heritage is that there's something rather unique about him. Only about 2%, less than 2% of the world population identifies as this ethnicity. And you have to wonder, why would he be involved? Perhaps it's just a fluke, right? I mean, people of all different races and backgrounds are involved in all sorts of different businesses, porn, I'm sure too, right? But what you're going to notice, and what I have highlighted on the screen, is that he's not the only one like this. One of the chiefs of this movement, of the pornographic movement, because remember, porn was always regarded as obscene and was never protected by the First Amendment until the People versus Larry Flint, which was a landmark case which ruled that obscenity laws are actually anti-First Amendment, which was the right to free speech and practice of religion and everything like that. But you're going to notice there's this huge overrepresentation, specifically in the production and in some of the cases of the acting of these people that are involved in this business, which again is clearly a sex trafficking and exploitation operation in itself, and essentially anti-societal. And again, I can't say these things. All I can do is highlight them. Here's another one right here, right? And what really illustrates this is this specific quote. You ask, well, why would they be involved? Mike, you might want to censor this word later. Right here. Al Goldstein. Do I really need to describe his background? He's an American pornographer. Ford asked Goldstein why Jews were dramatically overrepresented in the porn industry. Al doesn't debate this. He says the only reason that Jews are in pornography is that we think Christ sucks. Catholicism sucks. We don't believe in authoritarianism. Pornography thus becomes a way of defiling Christian culture, and as it penetrates to the heart of the American mainstream, it is no doubt consumed by those very same WASPs, white Anglo-Saxon Protestants, a derogatory term for white Americans. Its subversive character becomes more charged. So why are they involved in this business? That's why. He said the quiet part out loud. And if you don't believe me, check out the link right here. Go to this link and start to look in the early life sections of these actors, actresses, directors, supporting staff, everything like that. And if you do a count, you pick out 10, 20 names at random, and you find more than one, you're finding an overrepresentation. You do the math. They're 2%, less than 2% of the worldwide population. And if these same type of people are involved in this, well, I think that we have a problem here, and it merits further investigation. The truth fears no investigation, and as men, we should be aligned with the truth.
Absolutely. That's honestly kind of, I mean, at this point, not even coincidental.
Yeah, it's something of a coincidence, I guess, if you want to call it that. But it
definitely
seems to be something,
more than that.
Pardon?
More than that.
It's something more than that. And when you base it with Al's quote, he makes no debate that they're definitely overrepresented. They're overrepresented in Hollywood too, and porn is known as America's as Hollywood's ugly cousin.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that there's a financial gain associated with the overrepresentation, or do you think that there's strictly a deconstruction of society associated with the overrepresentation?
I think it's both. If you can bring down a society that you view inherently threatens you for whatever reason, and you can make a quick buck off of it, why not? If that's your goal, which it seems to be their goal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying not all, but some. But this definitely merits further investigation. Why are these people so involved in the putting lipstick on the pig of sex trafficking, child sex abuse material, and rape?
Yeah,
and
I mean
profiting off of it.
That goes even deeper into the problem of pornography itself. I don't think anybody watching this podcast is coming into this episode thinking that pornography is something used as a weapon. And it seems by that man, who I believe was the one of the figureheads to pornography in America, that it's almost exclusively used as a weapon.
Yeah, it's an inherently an anti-societal thing. It makes for a weakened population. If you'll defile yourselves, then what kind of self-esteem do you have? What kind of right do you feel to stand up for yourself?
Right.
You're sexually abusing yourself. And as we know from, phenomenon such as Stockholm syndrome, sex abuse victims end up feeling like they deserved it. There's definitely a shame and humiliation that goes with it. Not deserved. It's not deserved, but it's something that goes with it.
Absolutely. No, 100%. You're right. Were there any other points that you wanted to touch on?
Stop watching porn. Stop participating in this. It's time for men to man up and to become the leaders that we were destined to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it starts with stopping defiling yourself and stop participating in the exploitation of those who can't stand up for themselves, and start standing up for those people. It's not cool. It's not funny. It's destructive.
Absolutely. Now, what advice would you give somebody who maybe, I loosely use the term battling with pornographic addiction, but what advice would you give to somebody who maybe is thinking about the negative impact of pornography on themselves? What advice would you give somebody trying to stop?
I'd say that technology and the instant availability of information is simultaneously one of the greatest and the worst things to ever happen to the human race. It's never too late to better yourself. It's never too late. Today is always the best time. Just like when I stopped drinking, I don't have to worry about not drinking tomorrow. I just have to worry about not drinking today. And the same goes with consuming pornography. I realize that it's compulsive. I'm no saint myself. I've consumed pornography. But you can try not to use it today. There's no sort of negotiation you can do with yourself. Well, I'll just watch it once a week. You're going to find yourself right back where you were. You need to stop today. There's tools out there that you can install on your computer, just a few bucks a month. You can afford, $5 or $10 a month. Mm-hmm. Almost everybody can. And if you can't, I think it's time to, start looking at your budget, because if you exercise this type of self-control over yourself and you install a pornography blocker, there's no stopping you. If you can exercise supreme willpower on something that's designed as a hack on one of the most basic functions of yourself as a man, which is your sexuality. If you can exercise willpower over that, you can do anything. And, not to sound cheesy, but I believe in you. I think you can better yourself today. And, it's never too late to change.
Absolutely. I wanted to thank you for making the time to come onto the podcast today, Justin. It was very eye-opening.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I had it was a very serious time, but I enjoyed myself. It's definitely an interesting subject and one that I feel very passionately about. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this and taking this as seriously as you did. Not going, butts and boobs. But yeah, no, I appreciate you taking it seriously, and I appreciate you looking out for the most overlooked part of our society, which is men.
Absolutely. I wanted everybody watching the podcast to make sure to like, comment, and subscribe on this video. Comment any questions you have about this topic, any questions that you may have about veterans or anything like that. I have no problem bringing Justin back on the podcast, doing another episode on this topic or another topic. So feel free to comment or private message me any questions that you have. We're going to put a link of Justin's website in the description as well. Check out his website. It's a very good website. I've read a few of his blogs, and they are very, very good. But make sure to comment and like and subscribe to this podcast on YouTube, and look out for any future videos. And thank you for watching.
Happy New Year!